Welcome to Top Tables, where I'll showcase various YuGiOh tournament experiences within Toronto and even beyond the city as I prepare for big events such as Regionals, YCS, and the NAWCQ. Hey guys, so it's been a really long time since the last vlog, and I'm gonna be honest with you, at one point I really did think that my YuGiOh playing days were over, but you know what, some branded support came out recently and I figured I might as well stick around a little bit longer, and we actually have Toronto Regionals coming up in a couple of weeks, and I figured, I have been testing some online, but I figured I should get some actual in-person practice. So Derpy Cards, they're actually hosting just your usual weekend tournament tomorrow, and so I figured I might as well show up to that. It's a great store. I've been there a few times in the past, had a lot of fun. Now I do have a couple of YuGiOh related packages to open as part of this vlog, including the new branded cards, so let's get to that shortly. Alright, so let's open our package that we got from Card Trader, which should have my new branded cards. Alright, so we have got several. I didn't even have, let's say, the structure deck cards, so I did order the Fallen and Virtuous crazy card. Definitely I needed it in secret rare. Same thing with this boy that devours, or dragon that devours the dogma. I can't really get the name right. Of course we have the Christia, so this is for like the Floodgate, kind of like the new YuGiOh. Unfortunately, I'm kind of a noob right now in terms of the new iteration of Brandon, so I'm gonna stick with the Floodgate approach. We have Sprint, which I actually ended up cutting. I had originally ordered Radiant Typhoon Visions just in terms of being able to have some extra draw power branded. You do play a lot of quick plays, but after testing around, by the time I got these cards, I decided, you know what, I'm not even gonna bother. Incredible Ecclesia, of course. Kind of funny that this actually comes up now in this version of branded compared to what it used to be used for. And then we did kind of talk about the deck list with Dragon's Vine. I was trying, all three. It definitely, obviously, it's good when it's good, and you do actually need to get your plays resolving to actually get a 2500 body on board. But definitely crazy card, especially in Draco Tail. I'm actually quite scared. And of course, we have the Ecclesia. So this is actually, I think, going up a little bit now in terms of pricing. Really good for not only just your actual branded plays, but for a lot of different decks. You're probably just playing it for the Fallen and Virtuous spell, and then just being able to have an additional board breaker this way. This one's kind of interesting, eh? So I was originally not the biggest fan of this one, but then, because especially when you're using this to cut out Rebellion, but I realized, you know what, it actually comes up quite a lot, especially even going second, and then in the grind game, this is nice to send, because it can also revive your fusions too. And of course, the really expensive ones are the Fallen of the White Dragon. It's really cool how Konami ended up sort of redesigning branded by switching the essentially kind of like bricks going first, and then actually changing it to a combo starter, but also still allowing that same function in terms of being able to go second with it, because this can eventually lead to your regular Albas that can also do the fusion summon. And then lastly, I was also kind of missing some random staples, so Perlia, definitely really good this one, man. I would say, like, for example, Radiant Typhoon, they don't seem to really care about Fuwalos, and this card seems to be a lot better. And of course, we gotta sleeve these up, and I figured I might as well choose something that's sort of branded, all purple and stuff, fusion. Although we do have a synchro now, I guess. But yeah, no, honestly, I'm super excited to actually play this in person. I've been testing quite a bit online, and it's been super fun. But anyways, I also have another YuGiOh related product and package to open, so let's get to that one. Alright guys, so this is probably going to feel like a little bit of an infomercial, and the audio quality is probably not going to be as good because I'm just using my AirPods here, but Sleeve Chief did send me a bunch of stuff here that I'd love to open. Alright, I'm going to try my best to go through all the product at this angle. It's a little bit hard, but we're going to start off with the Sky Striker binder, some sleeves, and it actually also came with a deck box here. You can try to see a bit of the art here. Alright, next up, it looks like we have Yummy. Came with some, I believe, just regular main deck sleeves, and then it's got cute little ears here, so definitely really cool, and some delicious art here. So, okay, so the next one, I actually wasn't entirely sure which one it was until I flipped it, and then I realized, oh yeah, it's Orcus. Okay, so that's, I think the Geralt here, and there's like the Orcus art here. And they also sent like a playmat as well, so got the Dingirsi here. That's another deck with the new support. I actually find it pretty popular online, and ooh, wow, binder. This also looks super nice. So, alright, so these next ones are kind of big, and the packaging is actually pretty cool. It seems to just, ooh, okay, open like this. I don't actually know what this one is. I'm not even sure if it's YuGiOh related for this one, to be honest with you. It's the Elite Series. Oh, okay, so got a deck box here. And this is just like really big. The packaging, again, super big. I'm not even sure how to really open it. Go. And okay, I guess so essentially it's like a binder with the same art. Again, looks really cool. And then the final product, this is something that I think I'm actually going to use because obviously branded is mostly dark. So, oh wow, this looks super cool. Yeah, no, I'm actually going to use this for the tournament tomorrow then, I guess. And of course, same thing. It looks like they also sent like the binder equivalent. And again, the packaging is really cool. I don't think I've ever seen this. Alright, well, once again, big thanks to Sleeve Chief for sending all this product. You can definitely go use code KUNO5 for 5% off on Sleeve Chief if you're also interested. But anyways, for the rest of the night, let's find a time to relax. No! Oh shit, that was my ball, no!
Including you.
Yo.
Now, you have to leave. Let's go. There's definitely an ultimate rare Typhon in here. Nope.
Alright, well let's just get started with round 1 of locals, and we're playing against Max. Super cool dude. Alright, so I was hoping that he wasn't playing a new deck, but it turns out he was actually playing Enneocraft, which for me is actually quite new because I just haven't been playing for a while, so I was just going to have to wing a lot of things. Alright, so we did win the die roll, thankfully, so we're going to go first, and in draw phase we are going to go High Spirits, have the regular Fallen of Valbaz, which is not ideal to draw, but at least we had High Spirits. You can't really see the graveyard, but I did send Titaniclad to add the Fallen of White, and then we just go into the Synchro play here, and then use that effect to tag out, and then we bring out the Ecclesia. It's not the most ideal board just because I didn't have another monster to fuse away for Cartesia, but eventually we can sort of get to it. I do also set the Retribution of the Albion, which I did dump off the Fallen White, by the way, if in case you missed that, and then we do also get to summon out the Quem, and I must have sent the Kit to the grave just to revive back the Albaz. And then we can just sort of end here. We do still have the Crystal Lock in play. I think I did, or rather I'm planning on sending it. So yeah, no, all these Enneocraft cards, I'm a little bit confused, but essentially I'm using tagging into Granule so that I can dump that Christian now. And then also because he's special, I should be able to also use Granule's second effect to summon something like, let's say, Perskinian that I'm playing. You can also play, let's say, Curtis, even Lulu or Lilith, for example. There's definitely some good options there. We also just bring back the Kit off Quem. It's not really all that great, it's just that I might as well, just in case eventually if it goes into the graveyard. Now he does use Fallen Virtuous, so before I even use Christian, so I'm like, oh, that's great, I can just bring out Christian now when he's trying to summon it, but then turns out there's an Enneocraft monster that can just negate that. So yeah, I need to get familiar with these new cards, so essentially, as I said earlier, I'm kind of winging things. Just because I don't really know what a lot of these cards do. I've sort of briefly read them, but it's sort of hard until you actually play it for the first time. But now, because it is face up, I believe I must have tagged into regular Fallen Albaz to fuse away. And then we go into Albion, and then the Enneocraft monster also just happens to sort of book a moon everything, so I figured I think maybe I should at least sort of get to this point. So he does have a lot of search effects with this deck. We do have Retribution here to negate the summon, and then he sort of passes, and he doesn't have too much from what I saw. I do get Ecclesia back at least. And then I try to summon out the Cartesia here. I also cannot sort of flip open the, flip the set cards just from that Enneocraft effect. I do get Branded in White off the Kit. And then I use Retribution just to add back the Fallen and Virtuous. I use Branded in White here. Use the face downs and another Albaz in the graveyard just to summon out the Dragon that Devours the Dogma. And at this point, I do have Incredible Ecclesia, I believe, in the grave. So it is unaffected right now. And then I just shuffle back at least the Granule. I can't remember what the other one I shuffled back, unfortunately. The graveyard's kind of cut off here. And then we use Branded Fusion here. Go into Lobelian. Oh, okay, I pitched the Ecclesia, so I actually still had the Ecclesia in hand. So at the point I summoned the Dragon that Devours the Dogma, it was not unaffected. But now we also have Mirage, so we have a lot of stuff here. We have like 6 monsters. And then we also go into Granule with the Cartesia and the Albion that was set earlier. And then he activates the Rumor Cannon, which is rather a little bit devastating. I am at least going to chain Mirror Jade here. You're going to see that I have Titaniclad again just because I used Retribution and then I shuffled back the Albion and Titaniclad earlier. The Dogma, of course, it is unaffected, so we're still good here. Keep in mind at this point of my opponent, he has no cards in hand, so this is really all that he drew, and then he just sort of scoops here. Alright, so for game 2, my opponent went first. I played Perillia, and he actually allowed me to draw 4 cards. I'm just kind of sort of skipping it to just my turn here. We're going to start off with the Gold Sark for Merc, and then, of course, he just happens to have other Enneacraft stuff that will also allow him to add as well. And then we're going to add the Fallen of White. And he also shuffled back my Perillia and Grave just with the effect, but we do have Feather Duster too. He did actually set 2 Daruma Cannons, so we managed to at least survive that. We do have Branded Fusion, but he does have the Ash for that, and he, at this point, should only have 1 card left in hand. We play the Shrouded Dragon just to draw a card. Then we're going to summon the Ecclesia here, and then going to use the Fallen of White effect. So he does pop the Fallen of White with one of his Enneacraft monsters. And then we're going to use Branded Red. This is all starting to get not too ideal, but we do bring out the Rinbrum. I believe I had a kit in hand that I used to fuse it off with. He does have that Enneacraft guy that sort of negates and also will book. I do try to use Fallen of Virtuous so that I can get rid of it before it actually starts booking down my monsters, and then I just go into the battle phase, but he actually had another one, so we end up getting booked anyways. And then we go into the end phase. We do have Titaniclad and Albion. So Albion, we're going to set the Retribution. Titaniclad, we go into Albaz. And then we can just clear both of his monsters. One of them was a light, so that we can go into Dragon that devours the Dogma. And then we also have Incredible Ecclesia, so that means we are unaffected here. So, and at this point, my opponent essentially ends up scooping as well, because there's not just too much that he can do. So we do take round 1. Alright, so round 2, we're actually facing against Kevin and Vanquished Soul. And so I actually featured Kevin a few years back for a deck profile with Sword Soul back when he topped the box event when Sword Soul was a very rogue option. So really funny and cool to face him this time. Alright, so round 2, I actually win the die roll yet again. We're going to start off with the Shrouded Dragon effect. I dumped the Fallen White just in case I draw something like, let's say, Branded in red. At least I can sort of get the play started going there. But we're going to have the Incredible Ecclesia, which we actually did start with. I guess I sort of thought maybe it'd be ideal if I can just sort of actually get Fallen White into the hand, but it didn't quite work out. So we're just going to summon the Fallen of White from the deck and then just start our synchro plays here. And then go into the Ecclesia, use the effect, go into Cartesia, and then we're going to do Branded Opening. Of course, it's important not to do that first because otherwise you get locked into fusion plays. And unlike Branded Fusion, Branded Opening, you can actually do it a little bit later and then you can get locked there instead of Branded Fusion where, you know, at any point you essentially can't use it if you already did the synchro play. So with the Aluber, we're going to search Branded White, which starts to get pretty important in this version of Branded now that, you know, you probably want to prioritize your synchro plays for the most part. We're going to go into Granule, dump that Archlord Christia, and then we're going to use Branded in White. You can either just do Sanctify as well, which provides sort of a backup option in terms of sort of doing the Sanctify, or rather Christia lock, but I do ultimately decide to just go into Mirror Jade instead. At this point, I don't actually know what Kevin's playing, but Mirror Jade can be pretty good against Vanquished Soul, of course, because it does not target. We're going to get the Ecclesia back there, same thing with the Cartesia back to hand, and then we're just going to pass a turn there. So he's going to start off with the Chaotic Elements just to search. So I start seeing the K9 card, so I have a decent sense of what he's playing. Another thing I kind of learned, and thanks to my friend Murat, who also of course topped NAWCQ a couple years back with Branded, I sort of learned that, you know, it's sort of better not to shotgun the Christia lock in most cases. You kind of want to just sort of do your plays and then eventually get there, because especially, you know, right now there's like Fallen Virtuous, there's Droplet, there's all these cards that are really easy to out Christia. And so you don't want to sort of make it easier for them, essentially, if you just sort of have it all the way right at the beginning. And I sort of want to try to essentially do my other plays, especially because Christia Lock, it does kind of hurt you too. You have all these interruptions that involve you special summoning, and then you can't really do that. And so now we're going to just tag out the Incredible Ecclesia and then go into Fallen Valbas, because I do see a dark monster there, which means that we can also go into the Dogma. We also summon out the Quem based on the Granule effect, and then we're going to use Alba's effect to pitch, and then just fuse away for the Dragon that devours the Dogma, and we can use its effect to sort of shuffle back too. We're also going to be able to revive back the Merc, just because the monster was summoned from the extra deck thanks to Quem's effect, and then we're going to shuffle back the regular Albaz. And then at this point now I can also do the Christia Lock, and then my opponent just sort of scoops here and then go into game 2. Now game 2, Kevin of course goes first. I did swallow some Amperlium. I managed to only just draw one for each, and you know, I tried my best to fight through the board, but honestly I just couldn't outgrind this deck, especially in this game state, so I did have to scoop and go into game 3. Alright, so game 3, I go first, but I already have a bad hand. You know, when you start with Kid it sucks, and then he also ashes a high spirit, so I just fully understood that I was going to lose, but then Kevin ended up bricking on hand traps too, and he actually just passes on an empty board, and I just have sort of like this scuffed game state, but we do eventually take it. So unfortunately that he bricked, but I got lucky there, and we somehow start off 2-0. Alright, so round 3, we're facing against Andy. Super nice and cool dude. I actually also featured him on my channel way back a few years ago when he topped the Toronto Regional with Dragon Link, and now he's playing Sky Striker Mitsurugi, so let's get to that. Alright, so I realize the vlog is starting to get a little too long, and gameplay, I'm just going to shorten it by a lot in terms of commentary. Basically, game 1, I did get to go first, but because I got hit with Fua, I couldn't combo as much, and he also just had way too much gas. I also did definitely make some rookie mistakes in terms of this new iteration of Branded, and just not having that Ecclesia available in the grave so that I can sort of Crystal Lock at the right time. Not to mention, I also sort of burned my resources a little too early, so then we head into game 2. So game 2, I do go first, and my hand unfortunately is not very good. I do get hit with the Fua again, so I mean, not that I could do too much anyways, and because especially when I had to sort of do the Branded Fusion play, I did make a misplay though. I should not have pitched the, for example, Mercuria for Branded opening, because I could have gone into the High Spirits line for the Fallen of White play, so I definitely made a mistake there. Essentially, I was trying to turbo into Invader of Darkness, which is a really good card for the Striker matchup, but unfortunately I do get sort of blown out by this deck again. Anyways, let's just hear what Andy has to say about how Mitsurugi Striker works.
So you're usually starting one of these two, right? Full combo with Mitsu gets you the 2 bodies on board. It's the 2 rituals plus 3 spells in grave. These will go immediately into Camellia, and then you can dump engage, and then you just go Gari add back, and then you have Striker Engine and Mitsu Engine. Yeah. So basically, it's just a Striker deck, but you have prayers to summon Murakumo on your opponent's turn. That's it. It also helps like breaking boards going second. So yeah.
Now for the final round, we're playing against Justin and Sky Striker, so he is actually yet another player that I featured on my channel a few years back when he won Toronto Regionals with Sword Soul, so really cool to play him as well. Now for game 1, Justin wins Darrow. He does go first, but unfortunately it looks like he actually kind of bricked. Now the sad thing is I also didn't have the best hand other than the Fallen of White, and I eventually get to the state where I do have an unaffected Dogma, and also I do have the Crystal Lock available with the Fallen Virtuous, but he just happened to have the cross out for the Fallen Virtuous, and then he was able to top deck the Hornet Drones and then kind of take it from there and take game 1. Now game 2, I do go first, and I was left uninterrupted, so I was able to do my usual full combo, and I also was able to pull out the Invader of Darkness, so which means no quick play spells for the opponent, and that basically means an easy game 2.
I didn't have a starter. I didn't pray you.
And finally, for game 3, I definitely did not play this very well. For one, I should have shotgunned the Fuolos in the draw phase, but I wait till main phase and I get punished by not only the Ray summon, but also because of Talent's hand rip. So I really think I would have been able to win this one. He didn't have a really good board at all, and I think I definitely just had to play things right, but nonetheless, I do lose this one, but it's totally fine. I had a great time. Alright guys, so that was it for the vlog. Thank you so much for tuning in. I really love creating these videos to just document my time playing Yu-Gi-Oh! A game that I'll always love even when I eventually stop playing. A big thanks to Derpy Cards for hosting a wonderful tournament. Make sure to check them out in Richmond Hill. And a big thanks to all the amazing fellow players that helped me have a great time on my return today. So that's it for this one. I hope to see some of you at Toronto Regionals in a couple weeks, and well, take care guys.